worst date that I've ever been on. I'm going to go back in time a little bit, back to high school prom.
The first bad date I had was I asked a guy on a date and we were supposed to go, well, we went ice skating, and obviously since I asked him, I had to pay for it.
In our high school, we do like one of those promenade dances where you learn a dance and your parents come to watch the dance. Well, I take this girl to the dance, and we do the promenade dance.
And I paid with a counterfeit bill.
And after, the mom wanted to stay the rest of the dance and dance with us.
But I had no idea it was counterfeit. So I paid and we got our skates and we were putting them on, and then the cashier came walking over and he's like, you paid with a counterfeit. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It was super awkward.
You're kidding.
No, super
You are
awkward.
kidding.
It's like I want to go dance with all my friends, but I was just stuck dancing with her mom and one of her like best friends. It's a mom as well.
It was so embarrassing, and the kid just looked at me and then was super weird the rest of the night.
And I was trapped the whole night. So, that's definitely up there on the list of worst dates. Great dance. Danced with her mom. Lots. And, yeah.
Hey, I'm Tanner, and this is my worst date.
Next worst date was I went to see Jurassic World with this one kid. And
Worst date I've ever been on. The worst date I've ever been on.
the whole time I sat with my arms folded because I didn't want him to hold my hand.
So it was my very first high school dance, and this girl asked me, but I'd known her for a while. And we went to some California Pizza Kitchen at the mall.
And the same kid, I went to prom with him this year, and I ended the night with a high five.
And on the date, the waiter spilled ice cold water down her dress, so she was soaked. And then when we got to her house, we were driving back to her house, and she had like rented this really, really nice car. I don't even know, but it was super nice and smelled like a new car.
Because he wanted to kiss me, and I didn't want to kiss him. So, yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, I'm not feeling too hot. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm gonna barf. Well, she's like, get out of the freaking car. So I go to the side of her house, and I throw up like 3 times.
Is this gonna be presented to everyone?
No.
No, I matched with this girl on Tinder.
And then like she comes around the side, kind of like, are you ready for pictures? I'm like, let's do it.
We talked for about a week or so, and we decided we were gonna go on a date.
Pictured, I was like pale, like as pale as like you could possibly be, and I looked like terrible.
So I drove all the way out to South Jordan, which is hella far if you didn't know. And then we went and got some ice cream, but when I first picked her up,
The rest of the night, all 4 of us in the car got food poisoning. We didn't really dance at all, and like there was throwing up, there was like diarrhea. It was terrible. We just called it an early date and went home.
I realized she kind of had a little bit more of a manly voice, and it kind of threw me off.
So I got asked on a double date, and it was my friend from just a class, and I didn't really know him that well.
You could say I got catfished.
For voice.
By voice.
And he's like, hey, like I'm just gonna like set you up with my girlfriend's sister. Yeah, his girlfriend's sister was in high school.
And we hung out. We watched a movie at her house after getting ice cream, and then I went home and I didn't really talk to her very much.
Not even graduated yet. It's awkward.
I haven't. I've never had a bad date.
Okay, so senior prom. 2 weeks earlier, girlfriend dumps me.
So there's this guy that had been asking me on dates for like 3 weeks, and I just like kind of blew it off.
But I already asked her to the prom, so fetch, I'm not wasting money, right? So I make her go with me. During pictures, we're fighting the entire time. Bickering. Great.
Okay, so a couple months ago I was dating this kid, I'm not going to say his name, and he lived in St. George, and we planned a date to go salsa dancing.
And then I told him I was going on a date with him, and then I bailed the day off because I'm a brat. And then I finally like agreed to actually go on a date with him.
But I was just being a cocky little piece at work, and you could tell she liked it.
But he lived far away, so we planned it like 3 weeks in advance. And I was super excited about it, got all ready. I turned our one-on-one date to like a group date.
And we were gonna go to Nickel City. And then like an hour before the date, I asked him if he was gonna come pick me up. And he was like, oh, do you want the pegs or the handlebars? And I was like, what are you talking about?
We went on this little boat ride, and like we just sat there, hardly talked. Just kind of weird.
Because it's way more fun to salsa with other people, right? Okay.
He's like, I don't have a car, I just have a bike.
But then we got in line for pictures, and I was flirting it up real nice, and you could tell that she was just fighting it so hard.
So he gets to Provo and then he's like, you know what, I'm actually just gonna drive straight to Heber and go home real quick. And
I was like, what the heck? And he's like, yeah, so can you pick me up? I was like, oh, yeah, no, it was not fun.
then he decided to go from Heber back to Provo with his cousin, so he didn't have a car. In other words, he blew me off.
The time we got up to the picture place, I already stole the kiss.
And then like the whole date was super awkward, and he was just a really awkward person. And yeah, he just was not
He
fun.
blew off the date. And so I called him and I said, hey, that's not okay. Like, I had this plan. I'm not going to go on this group date by myself. And so he ended up coming, but he was a brat the whole time. And I just, like, wasn't feeling it. And I broke up with him later that night. And he was so confused. But he was so rude.
We called him next to the fire, and after that, we were good to go.
And that's the last time I really ever talked to him. So...